Good morning, afternoon. We're here for another of this interview for the EMCC Reflective Series. Why did I become a coach? And today I got the pleasure to be with my colleague Beat. Beat, a few words to introduce yourself before we get to nitty gritty with our questions.
Yeah, great. Well, first of all, Florence, thank you for inviting me to contribute to this series. So my name is Beat Calabretti. In my early 50s, I have two children, 21 and 23-year-old. I live in the Basel region. And over the last 30 years, I had the corporate careers in life science, in particularly pharmaceuticals, medtech, biotech, but also in FMCG, food companies, manufacturing companies. So that's a little bit about myself. Really happy to join you here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an impressive career you had, leading people strategy and transformations. So, among all of that, what led you to become a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question, Florence. I think it started quite naturally. Before my HR career was in sales and marketing, and then once I moved into HR and talent OTE, I have always been fascinated by what truly enables people and teams to grow. Yeah. But also to understand what gets in their way of being successful. When I was leading global capability programs at Syngenta, I realized very early that sustainable change doesn't happen because of process or structures, right? It happens when people shift their mindset, and coaching became the perfect way for me to focus on the human side of transformation, so that people really can create a space for reflection, create awareness, and grow as a consequence of it.
I
Um,
love the shifting of mindsets. We could have a full series on, how to shift mindset. So you are an accredited coach, organizational supervisor, board member of the EMCC Switzerland. What does that community mean to you?
well, first of all, I think I would like to state that EMCC truly represents everything I believe good coaching stands for, right? So I think there we have a global code of conduct, code of ethics, which ensures professionalism and also continuous learning. And being part of the community really gives me a sense of belonging, right? And that's important to me because I truly value diversity, right? So we are so different in our composition. We have more than 15,000 people across the world, and it's great to learn, share together. And the accreditation is not just a label for me; it's truly a commitment to stay curious, reflective, and to remain open for feedback and grow myself.
Yeah, diversity is a good one. We could see last time we met how diverse a small group of people could already be. So the beauty of the community.
Mm.
Um, what do you find most powerful about coaching?
Well, I alluded to that a little bit early on, but I think really coaching creates awareness, and with the awareness, we create choice. Yeah,
Mm.
I've seen that again and again. For example, during a major transformation at Barry Calabretti, where I led the talent and OD function, I helped leaders to really get ready for a big transformation and to manage uncertainty. And that was quite eye-opening because it really enables leaders to work with people rather than just telling them what to do, right? And I think that's for me important, that everyone should have the opportunity to make sense for what's going on, to make sense what the impact is for their own, and then to contribute in the best way possible. So I think for me, it's really a very powerful practice, which is unlocking the potential from within. And so that's, I think, my view.
That's definitely led me nicely to one of my favorite questions. Can you recall a key moment in your journey that shaped you as a coach?
Hmm. Well, there were many, right? But I think if I reflect back when I was at Roche, I was coaching a very senior leader, a scientist, and he had a conflict with the team, or at least his perception was that the team is not performing at the highest level possible. And my instinct back then was to give advice, but instead I really asked him, well, what part of the situation might you be maintaining without realizing it? And that struck him, right? So that one question really completely changed the dialogue which we had. And, the awareness which I mentioned really was the most powerful thing for the leader. And yeah, so I think, as a coach, I think it was really important for me to learn to be present in the moment,
Mm.
stay curious rather than finding the answers. And I think that taught me that I need to listen more deeply rather than following processes or models or theory, etc.
So, through all the leaders you've been working with, Beat, what benefits have you seen when they actually engage with a coach?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think the benefits are both personal and organizational, right? I think perhaps I can give you an example. When I was at TUI, and there was a time of a massive change, a massive digital change, and by actually educating leaders, by coaching and educating leaders about change, we saw the engagement scores rise when leaders worked with coaches, right? So that was really an advantage, and as a consequence of that, also the psychological safety was better, right? So people became more resilient, more connected to their teams, and more confident in leading through uncertainty, right? So I think that was, for example, I think a good example. Yeah.
Now, I know the next question I'm going to ask you is slightly outside of
Mm.
pure reflective series, but it just come naturally versus the conversation we had. But what would you recommend to someone selecting and starting to work with a coach?
Mm. Well, for me, as this is a quite, a personal relationship, I think chemistry is really important, right? So being confident and again, having the feeling of being safe is the foundation, right? So coaching is built on trust. So my advice is take time to find someone you really connect with, right? So it's sometimes we are perhaps, you know, biased by titles, etc. So for me, it's really the trust factors, which is important. Obviously, there are some credentials which ensure that the coach is professional, and we have EMCC, for example, or other accreditations, which give you a certain level of guarantee for the professionalism of coaches. But something which I would really like to encourage to look at is to ensure that the coach, him or herself, is regularly supervised, right? For me, that's a sign of professionalism. So yeah, so these are the two aspects, but then also yourself, you need to be really clear on your goals and you need to stay open. Yeah, sometimes the real insights appear in unexpected places, and most importantly, be ready to be challenged, right? So that's important. As we know, the growth rarely happens in the comfort zone.
Thanks, Beat. Really, thank you for your time, the insights, and sharing a bit about what drove you to become a coach. A final thought for today before we close our call.
Okay. Well, I've been sharing so much, but for me, perhaps if I'm summarizing it, I would say for me, coaching is not about fixing people. right? It's about creating the space where they can truly see themselves and choose who they want to grow. Yeah, how they want to grow and where they want to evolve to. So that's my view. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you very much, Florence. Bye bye.